In this morning's Money Watch, natural disasters and your home. Deadly tornadoes this year have damaged and destroyed tens of thousands of houses, and a new poll shows that people in tornado zones have the highest number of homes without hazard insurance. So how can you make sure you've got the right coverage to keep you secure? We'll hear with some advice is personal finance expert Regina Lewis. Great to have you with us,
Thanks,
Regina.
Rebecca.
And obviously something very timely to talk about. Those people who lost their homes in Joplin, what can they expect right now in terms of the rebuilding and recovery?
Well, the rewards are varying in terms of what they can expect in terms of monetary compensation, but the sequence is interesting. A lot of them are getting turned down by FEMA, and they're discouraged by that, but it's a sequencing thing. FEMA is very careful about rewarding redundant coverage. In this case, something that might be covered by your homeowner's insurance because tornado is a wind event, and often that is covered. Also, a lot of people don't realize most of the aid comes in the form of a loan. And that's the catch. It is a loan.
It has to be repaid.
Exactly. That does have to be paid back. But you are better off in some cases taking that loan, settling the insurance claim. Once you get that money, paying back the loan so you can get started on rebuilding.
But obviously you want to be conservative if you're going to take a loan out and you're expecting insurance somewhere down the road to cover it.
Yep.
In terms of homeowners insurance, how much does that cover here?
Well, in the case of a wind event, tornadoes would be covered. The things that are not covered, and we have a list, are things like earthquakes, flooding. That is the biggie, the number one thing that catches people. Landslides, natural fires. For all of this, you need disaster insurance, which is supplemental.
Disaster insurance, but it can be expensive, that catastrophic coverage.
Sure, it's all done by a risk assessment based on where you live, and you can be sure the insurance companies have run those numbers. But you've got to remember, these catastrophic events are just off the charts. They level your home. So take something like hurricane insurance. If the annual premium is $1,074, let's say over 10 years you're spending roughly $10,000. FEMA will tell you 6 inches of water in your basement, that is 25 grand right off the top, and that's before you replace any of the contents. Needless to say, that would pay for itself.
But when you look at the map of the country, there are certain locations where you're going to want to have certain types of insurance coverage because you're just more prone to these disasters.
Absolutely. It's all about propensity, and you can look online to see what your risk is. So for instance, this is Tornado Alley. You'll see the high risk, the slight risk. That doesn't mean that tornadoes don't happen elsewhere. Hurricanes, different areas of the country, very damaging. In fact, half of all catastrophes are related to hurricanes.
Related to hurricanes. What about disaster insurance? How should people approach that?
You know, a couple of different things. You really want to look for the word replace versus repair, because we've seen the footage from Joplin. Those are not repair scenarios. Those are complete replace scenarios. Also, understand your deductible. Sometimes it's not a hard and fast number like $300 or $500, which we're used to with automobiles. It's a percentage, like 10%. Well, if you have $300,000 worth of earthquake damage on the foundation of your home, 10% of that is 30 grand up front. So you would need to understand that number, especially if you don't have access to cash.
What about in terms of insurance claims and making claims after a disaster has taken place? Are there time frames we need to know about? What should people be doing?
FEMA is usually about 60 days, and they're very careful about giving you lots of different options. You can call, you can go to some of their centers, you can apply online. If you've got a claim that's less than $1,000, the general rule of thumb is take care of that yourself, because of course they do keep track of the amount of claims that you make. So a catastrophic situation is a little bit different.
Because your premium could go up
of
after
course,
that.
Yes.
Are there any kinds of insurance you would say you don't need them no matter who you are?
You know, I think you want to look at the caps. A lot of these, even the disaster insurance do have caps. They'll say things like, we'll give you $5,000 to replace the contents of your home. If you lived in a home for 30 years, odds are you have more than $5,000 worth of stuff there. It might not even be worth it.
Regina Lewis, as always, thanks so much. Always read the fine print,
Yes.
right? That's our big takeaway here. And for more on disaster insurance, visit our sister website, cbsmoneywatch.com.